grave, I'm not going underneath. Call it luck, I'm just getting what I reap. Should've died, angels kept me on my feet. That's why these demons gotta kill me in my sleep. On my grave, I'm not going underneath. I never go another winter without heat. Gotta face it, just can't turn the other cheek. That's why these demons gotta kill me in my sleep. They know me very well, I ain't live no fairy tale. All the work that I put in, they know I ain't gonna tell. I keep it 100, cause all I know is real. I come from a line of hustlers, they only know the deal. They taught me how to move them quick and to play it slick. And to make sure that I watch out who I'm fucking with. Cause motherfuckers got the game fucked up. They telling no motherfuckers to get a time cut. They biggest fear is a lawnmower. I dare a motherfucker say my name, watch how I John Doe 'em. I blindfold them, duct tape to hold them. They bodies eroding, exposed in acid soaking. I'm popping pills and smoking, overdosing on hydrocodone. My story keeps unfolding, a prophecy growing. I'm on a mission, but I'm buried these snitches who scared of a conviction. Leaving the scene, but I'm leaving no witnesses. I just look at it like I'm saving somebody a sentence. My name won't be mentioned, so motherfucker, let's get it. As I time the mission, cause my decision will leave your fucking signage stripping. On my grave, I'm not going underneath. Call it luck, I'm just getting what I reap. Should've died, angels kept me on my feet. That's why these demons gotta kill me in my sleep. On my grave, I'm not going underneath. I never go another winter without heat. Gotta face it, just can't turn the other cheek. That's why these demons gotta kill me in my sleep. Circle way around, but still summer square root. Aided by the streets, only objective is to chase loot. Off my own too, that's how I pivot. Street life full time, no intermittent. I ain't scared of a sentence, accusation like clue. That sycamore blue is Terre Haute and Hoosier roots. In front the troops, I lead my army through the field. Ain't gonna send the pawns march through the blood spill. I'm sold like a pill, I alter your mind state. What y'all lack is heart, fall apart to the high stakes. Do this my way, my reputation savage. When I was down, bitch, I divided up the fractions and multiplied the addicts just to get the bag up. Seem like I'm always down, this shit don't add up. You big mad, huh? How I feel that I stay loyal. Acting like my brother when you mean more to me in the soil. I'd rather smoke a foil than shake your fucking hand. Regards you little bro, so I'ma turn my back like a man. You ain't trying to see these hands, cause you can control your
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, what? What the hell? Hey,
I just
what's
wanted to see how you
going
would react.
on, everybody?
We're starting
Oh
early.
my God!
We are starting early.
Is it Monday?
No.
Hell yeah, it is Monday. Talking about no.
Oh,
Oh my gosh!
damn Mondays.
I tell you what, we've got so many things happening, so much going on. We got a really
Absolutely.
great band tonight that's making their way into the studio, so we ain't got to do the fun Zoom stuff. Man, crazy stuff. How's your week
It
been?
is. It's been crazy, just like not yours.
You know, for the few that does know, I kind of bounced around in my truck a little bit. It's all good though. Luckily I was at least able to slow down as I slid like forever after my interlock brakes messed up, and I only did damage to the bumper. It looked way worse until I took off a couple parts. So I'm just rolling around
Well, that's
probably
good.
illegally without a bumper and scaring small children because it looks like it's something from Mad Max.
Driving fast and swerving.
I know.
As long as it doesn't say free candy on the side, you're good, right?
Come on for the ride, little boy. You want that push pop, don't you?
Oh my goodness.
It's already started. Hey, so
So,
let's go
yes.
straight from the get-go.
Absolutely.
We got in studio
Studio.
Rick and Mark from Hilltop Burning. What's going on, guys?
Hi guys.
Oh man,
Good to be here.
Awesome.
Nice to have you. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. I've really wanted to be on the show for a long time.
You know,
Long time listener, first time caller.
you like long walks on the beach.
Yeah, except for if you have an extra toe. Long walks on the beach is weird because you got to kind of drag your toes so nobody really knows you have 6 toes.
You're foul.
You don't have 6 toes?
You're foul.
You imagine?
Anyway, guys, before we get too far into it, before Joe goes too far, hold on.
I
let
am
me
not yet.
reel you back. Do you have any shout outs, plugs, website?
Just
How do
our
we contact you?
Facebook page, YouTube page, Instagram page, you know, all the normal social media stuff.
Yeah.
Just Google Hilltop Burning. It's pretty rare. You'll
It
find
is.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to find it. I was like, haha, there they
Yeah.
are.
There you go.
And then go in and leave comments on your posts. and
Please,
stuff.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, and everybody out there, before we get going, go through, like, subscribe, hit all the
Share.
buttons so that when we
Just
pop up
share
on
it.
your local platform, you'll be able to know when we're going live or when our new stream's coming. And you know what? Share the love. Make sure to share Hilltop Burning's websites. And even if you guys don't like it, somebody will. So sharing is
Absolutely.
caring, guys.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, both of you, Indiana born and raised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I live over on the
Absolutely.
east side of, well, sort of east side of town. He's up near
Then
the
very
north side.
Way
Very north, very east.
Yeah.
Northeast,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? I haven't been downtown in a minute, so it was cool. It was a cool drive to come up here, and I like that you guys are right downtown, so it's
Pretty
really
It,
nice.
it makes it fun. It
pretty
is a little cool. And usually we get a little bit of a crowd. I mean, we had one guy that was out here doing some football plays. It was a
The
weird,
dancer.
Like we're sitting there trying to, he
Oh,
kept dancing, and then he'd
dancing.
run and do,
Yes.
he would run and throw the football. And it's like, what is this guy doing? The entire show, though.
Yes,
It
and he
wasn't
was out
like
in the
just a
middle of the
random
street.
moment.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah.
hi, and he's by himself.
Yes.
He's by.
Everybody looking at him. So, yeah, you never
he has
know.
a dream.
That's right.
He has a dream.
This show is
Yes.
sponsored by Behavior Health. Make sure.
Yeah, you don't know
If
who
you're
to
struggling, get a hold of. If you're out in the street playing football by yourself, you might need to speak to someone.
So, Vicky Lynn has came in and said this band rocks.
Yeah.
So, you guys got your supporters.
Awesome.
Here they come.
Yeah, we love
Love
Vicky. She's one of our biggest fans. Yeah.
What's up, Vicky?
That's awesome. So, do you remember both of you when you caught the music bug?
Oh,
Yeah, I do.
I'm-
Specifically, I do. Yeah. What about
yeah.
you? You
I
want to go
mean,
first?
Do you have to wear a mask afterwards?
right? Yeah,
No.
no.
Thank God.
Right, sanitizer.
No, mine is similar to Rick's. Actually, I started in like 5th grade with a little practice pad, and then went to gosh, what did I do after that? Cornet, then trombone, then French horn, then baritone, and then. But it all started. My parents made me do piano lessons when I was a kid. Before all that, when I was like 3, 4, 5, 6, I was Mary Had a Little Lamb kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and I don't know if I necessarily like that was the spark because I really hated going to piano lessons, but
Yeah.
but I enjoyed all the other instruments I did. But yeah, once I picked up the guitar, I was like, oh, we're done.
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
A lot
Done.
of musicians I spoke to, like through the years and working with them, that they, a lot of people push like, man, if you can learn a piano,
You
Yeah.
can do
and
anything.
you can kind of go
Yeah.
everywhere.
That's how I started too. I think piano is a good instrument to start on because you get a good visual representation of
Yeah.
music as well as the instrument. But yeah, much like Mark, I started tinkering with instrumentation and music before I knew that I had a bunch of people in my family that were musicians. I think I was about 7 when my uncle Adam, he brought over a keyboard, and it was right around 1984 because I remember that because that was when Van Halen Jump come out, and it was like
yeah.
the whole riff on the keyboard, and Axel F from Beverly Hills Cop had just come out, that whole thing, and I just started tinkering around on the keyboard, and then from there, my dad he was a guitar player. I picked up his acoustic one day. He showed me some stuff, and then I learned to be a lead guitar player, developed my voice, and then the 90s hit and music changed with Nirvana, and nobody wanted to hear Eddie Van Halen anymore,
Right.
and that stuff. So I had to kind of
The
put
grunge era.
I had to put the guitar down and really develop a singing voice because I'd sang backup in a lot of bands and at a higher register, you know, had to sing harmony and stuff. And then I just developed my voice from there. And, you know, there's a lot left in the musical journey, but that's how I got started, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Both very young, and I love when parents garner that in their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Big
Music in
fan.
the house all the time at my
Oh,
house.
My,
Yeah.
my
Oh, it makes
grandmother
it-
played the piano like at all the holidays.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was just weirdest. I swear she was just making all that stuff up as she went. But it was just weird.
Beautiful.
It was just this weird flamboyant.
You didn't know it. You didn't know she was making it up.
You know, she's
She was
just,
going with
she's just
it.
like making stuff up as she's going. I'm like, all right, well, it works. you
Yeah.
know.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Jazz
That's
background.
Yeah.
So, what before we get to Hilltop, what other projects have you guys worked with?
Oh gosh, he and I both have been in
Yeah.
other groups before. I mean,
Anything notable or?
well, you said you played Slamology,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I played with a band called September Sky. where we played
Shut
there.
your mouth. That's why you look. I've played
Yeah.
with you guys.
Yeah.
We're Hallville.
Okay, Hallville,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
on. Well, so then
I
you
was
know,
like, dude, I was like, man, I know him from somewhere
Yeah.
else, and it wasn't clicking.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why, because we played out at Slamology and
Yeah,
all that.
we played a few times.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys were on that one with us. We did it a different time, but we played several places
Yeah.
through the years.
Well, let us know when that's kicking
Rock.
back up because we'll be ready for it
Yeah.
Absolutely.
this time.
Actually, I should be having a couple venues. I haven't told you about the other venue that I might be working with.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Ooh.
extra. But I have I'm working with the Thompson House on the south side.
Okay,
and we're
right on.
booking events and trying to figure out. It's a kind of a different situation because it's not just a music venue. They have staff all day long.
Sure.
It's paying events and getting locals. It's a little bit of a different face for them, and so
Yeah.
we're working on that, and figuring that out. But
So your question is actually a really good segue into how Hilltop Burning actually started.
Okay.
For me, you know, I'd been in several bands as well as Mark in the past, and I got to a point where I was so burnt out with playing in different bands. I was a guitar player in one band at the same time that I was a lead singer in another, and it was like just getting too much. So I stopped performing and went back to college, and I used my downtime to get back into music somewhat. And I wrote and recorded my own solo record and released it, you know, back in 2013, which ended up in his hands later, you know,
Okay.
because I got to a point where I wanted to get back out and start doing something with music. And, you know, Mark had heard my record, and I think I put like my musical resume out online somewhere, and Mark found
Pretty
me.
much.
band mix.
Well, I think
Something.
it was like one of the Facebook music groups. You know
Oh,
what I
okay.
mean?
Oh,
That
Yeah,
are on there.
indie backstage or whatever.
They post
Okay.
like, "Hey, I want to jam. Here's what kind of stuff
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
done.
Right.
You know, hit me up if you're interested," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you know, the only stipulation that I had when I wanted to get into music again, because I had literally taken a break and just stopped, was that I didn't want to get into a cover band situation again. You know, I'd burnt myself out on that. I wanted to get back to the whole reason why music was lucrative and appealing to me to begin with, which was to create music. And I had created my solo record, so I'd done that. The next thing was get in a band with a bunch of guys that have the same kind of ideology and do a
Yeah.
band setting. So he found me and invited me out to a Starbucks. So
Not safe
we
place.
literally,
Safe place to meet.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I literally met Mark.
Stranger danger.
Hey, you got to be where are all the exits at? I got to know where my stuff's going on. Here.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I literally met this guy like 3.5 years ago at a Starbucks, and now we're like best of friends and had this
That's
great
awesome.
musical journey that we'll tell you about. You know,
Yeah.
That's
it was great.
awesome.
It was really cool.
Hell yeah. And do we want to go ahead and, because I know we were highlighting one video, but can we go through, because I feel like they're all equally badass,
Mhm.
and we ain't got to go through all of them, but if we can go through beginning of the end right now, and maybe one of the other ones later
Sure.
on.
Sure.
I just,
Absolutely.
I love when we're talking about music, and then they can get a little taste of what everything's
Oh
about.
yeah.
That one's only 30 seconds.
That's-
That's an
That's an ad.
That's
Yeah.
Let me kind of set this up though first, really, if you guys don't
Absolutely.
mind.
Absolutely.
So we'll get into it in the nitty gritty in a second, but this is the first this is the first video rather that we've released on the record. We coined the phrase, you know, beginning of the end. That's also the name of the record. But the record is a 14-song concept record, right? And as the first single for the record that we wanted to release it, we wanted to start the story from the beginning. So that's what this song is about. We'll talk about, maybe more of it later, but that's why we started
Absolutely.
with this song.
Awesome. All right, guys. This is Hilltop Burning, beginning of the end.
That's what's up.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
There you go.
You guys like that?
I do.
Hell yeah,
I
man.
absolutely do.
So let's talk about some influences on there. I've noticed a few influences.
Man,
let's go into the like.
So Mark and I, musically, we grew up in the 80s and 90s. Obviously, we're a rock band,
Yeah, right.
because we kind of grew up with that. But I've as a guitar player and as a singer, I've got a huge laundry list of influences. Mark has his own too, but
Absolutely.
I consciously, as I was the guy that was going to write most of the lyrics, decided to pull from certain avenues. consciously.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, you know, because I'll get into that in a minute, but it's a huge project. It's a huge thing. I had to kind of pull inspiration and influences from different artists. What about you, Mark? Was there any specific, like, influences you consciously said, yeah, I need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, in Judgment Day, the first part of the solo that it is just totally ripped off Randy Rhoads. I'll just lay it right out there. It's, yeah.
Well,
Well,
I wouldn't
if
say
you're gonna
ripped, I wouldn't say ripped it
The
off. I would say
style, I mean,
very
Borrowed.
Randy Rhoads-ish.
if you're going to pick
There you
somebody
go.
to rip off,
I mean,
Gotcha.
for real. I mean,
I didn't like but it's based on, there's an outro solo to Mr. Crowley that he does live that I was just like goosebumps every time, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
I mean,
Do it, yeah.
It's so solid, guys. I
So-
mean, very
Yeah,
well
absolutely.
recorded.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm. What other is it? Just you two as far as the creators
Yeah,
on
so
the background?
great question.
Yeah.
So how it started was Mark, after he left September Sky, he went back to his home studio and created all kinds of, you know, riffs and ideas and then threw them in this repository full of stuff.
Yeah.
So then later, you know, he was working with a couple different musicians. Later, when I got involved, he just basically gave me a password, and I logged in, and there was a library of music for me to choose from, right? No lyrics, no vocals, all just killer shredding guitar.
Awesome.
So I literally got to pick and choose. You know, the only thing I said to him when we were sitting at that Starbucks, I said, "Hey, just don't limit my creativity, man. I like your music, I like your genre that you've chosen. I can sing over all of it, but let me kind of cut, paste, move around, create
Yeah,
the arrangements the way that I see fit."
Absolutely.
And that's what we did. And you know, and maybe talk about what you did in that 2-year period or whatever before I joined.
Oh, it was longer than that.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was several years, actually. Because not every project that I was involved in was I...
Part of the creating of the.
yeah, I wasn't writing stuff. So
Got some folks outside waving at us.
I wasn't the
Hi
guy.
guys.
I wasn't the guy writing the song, so I just kept, you know, putting my own stuff away, putting it away. And then, and it was just like Rick said, it was kind of like, here's all this stuff. And there was a few years, there was a lapse of when I left to the other group and we started doing this stuff and, you know, just get other things in order, school stuff and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But all the time I was, you know, just kind of putting stuff back, squirreling all these riffs and rough ideas of songs and stuff together, and then
It sounded like Joe Satriani when he gave it to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. It-
Nice.
He's a tremendous guitar player. You know, I've played
Absolutely.
guitar for years and years and years, and then I heard his stuff, and I'm like, Psh, I don't have to play guitar in this band. You know.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't
Check.
play. We're not even gonna discuss
But
Yeah.
the coolest part though was the audition. So
After Starbucks, before Starbucks.
well, it was
no.
after.
Yeah, no, that was part of the audition. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't tell me
Alright,
that at the time, but
oh yeah.
so
yeah,
the
are
audition
you
was
kidding me?
because you know he'd obviously heard my record.
Right.
He knew I could sing, right? And he liked the sound of my voice. But what he didn't know is, other than the 9 songs that were on my record, what I could do from a writing standpoint. So the audition was literally, hey, go into the repository, pick out whatever you want from it, throw it in your studio in Pro Tools, cut, copy, paste, arrange it however you want, throw your vocal melody that you think is cool to it, sing something to it, and send it back to me. So I did that, I think, like 3
Nice.
songs maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the first song he was kind of like, well, maybe, try another one. So then we did the second one, and we actually is one of the ones that ended up on the record. It's
Okay.
the next song called Soulshine. And that was, for me too, was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Like, this is something I want to do. So it was not a traditional meeting. It was not a traditional recording collaboration, and it certainly wasn't a traditional, like, auditioning for a band kind of
Yeah.
thing.
The whole
Gotcha.
thing's been very non-traditional from the
Yeah.
get-go. But that was my whole thing. I was like, dude, here's
But
a
it's working.
here's a
I-
bunch of
definitely
stuff.
work.
Here's a bunch of stuff. Here's 3 pieces of clay. What can you make?
Yeah, what would you do
Right.
with it?
But you
What
know
can
what? you know, being in the field that I work in, I wish that more people actually did that. Because, you know, just to hey, you know, this is what we're working on. This is the
Yeah.
project. Let me see what you get.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, way to go, because that's definitely high quality
Thank you.
music. It sounds great.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to see what this turns into, where you know, how you guys evolve as you guys continue to grow.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. So we're looking at this point, you guys have been working now 4 years, I think we said earlier, we were discussing. stuff
Together,
about 4
probably
years.
3.5 years.
3.5.
Yeah.
How often, I mean, because when doing all the tracks, all the layers is very time consuming. How often you guys get together? How, you know, what is the structure of your guys'
You know,
work? Like, how does that play?
We were having this conversation, I think, at a different kind of setting like this, and I got to thinking about it afterwards. If I had to add up all of the hours that he and I have put into this record, it's in the thousands.
Probably.
Oh my God.
I believe it.
But if you were to add up all of the hours that he and I were sitting in the same room together when we were doing it, it's probably 100.
Yeah.
So, you know, with the power of technology,
Right.
Absolutely.
you got two people who are musicians who know their way around a DAW, around a studio. And literally, you know, I remember distinctly there was a song called Star of the Show. It's on the record. It's my mom's favorite song on the record, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah, she loves it.
Go Mom.
Go Mom.
There was a
Hi.
there was a very cool chord progression that Mark wrote for that song, and I was trying to work out this vocal melody for it, and the riff that he wrote forced me to have a vocal melody that was out of my comfort zone with it. Not that I couldn't sing it, but just because it didn't sound correct in the song. So I literally remember sending him a text while I'm sitting at the piano going, you know, trying to figure out that vocal melody. And I sent him a video of, hey, can you, in this, like, from 2.5 minutes to 2 minutes and 40 seconds, can you, instead of going da-da-da-da-da, can you go da-da-da-da-da? And I just, like, played the keyboard part and sent him a video. 20 minutes later, he's bounced the track, sent it to me. I had it in my email. I put it in Pro Tools, and there it was. Now I could sing my vocal part, right?
That's awesome.
And that's how we did a lot of it, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
again,
Very time. I mean, at the same time, that's a very time consuming. That's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, just
Even-
waiting
yeah.
in between. So say if you're working on something, but that does being in two different locations and having the
Yeah.
you know, the flexibility to be elsewhere. But
Right.
that's
and then
that's
about, you know,
very-
I think the
a lot of
fifth
different
song or
applications.
something in, we made the conscious effort to turn it into something bigger than what it started, you know.
Yeah, it didn't start out like this. So
Okay.
it kind of mutated and like grew on its own as we went along.
Okay.
So
It's a huge message. There's
Is this close enough? Is this close enough for you, Wyatt? Is this close enough for you?
Wyatt's
That's
been
amazing
trying
right
to
there.
get him to scoot up.
no, it started out as kind of like little pieces, and then the little pieces started to kind of come together, and then I don't know, maybe halfway through it, we were kind of like, you know what? This could be a kind of a cool concept album. We started throwing around ideas, and it just kept. Honestly, eventually, it just kind of took off on its own. Like it was just
Nice.
weird how things
Oh, it just started to
fell
grow.
into place, and it almost just we watered it and gave it sunshine, and I talked to it,
Talk
and
to
the next
it,
thing you know,
nice.
it's
Oh,
like
aren't you the
growing.
cute
I'm like,
little guy?
yeah, it just
We'll turn on a
It just
fan.
started growing. It was
So songs
it's
got
amazing.
2 minutes longer each song, and
yeah.
you'd
Right.
asked about influences, right? So when we got to here in the middle of this writing thing, you know, I for the most part wrote all the lyrics, but Mark and I collaborated on ideas for the songs, right? And then he would give me, we'd bounce it back and forth. Okay, now I know what the subject matter is, and I'd go and I'd write the lyrics, you know. And we got about halfway through, and then that's when the bigger concept came out, and I thought, oh, wow, I'm literally going to be able to do what Queensryche did with Operation Mindcrime and with, you know, their Empire record and what Pink Floyd did with Dark Side of the Moon. Like, I have the opportunity to do that. My favorite record of all time is Extreme's 3 Sides to Every Story. So I borrowed basically the ideas, not the copywriting ideas, but or the song ideas, but
Right.
the idea of the concept of Queensryche, Promised Land, with Extreme's 3 Sides to Every Story, and between him and my brain, we figured out how to make a 14-track 2-act concept record that deals with everything from the human condition to psychology to theology to suicide to world corruption, world domination to conspiracy theory. It's all in there, man.
So your album, does it all connect?
It does.
Is
Every
it
song is a
all
part of the bigger picture.
Nice.
And there's
Yeah.
2 acts too. First act is all about hope, despair, and the second act is about hope.
Nice.
With that
nice.
being in mind, because I know a lot of artists that we have on the show, a lot of time is going and they're dropping singles instead because the way the market is a little bit different. But in this, I feel like you would want to drop it as a whole piece because this
Yeah, that's
is
what we want.
a
The story it
entire
tells.
story.
Yes. So we've released some just lyric videos, just kind of like, here's what it's going to sound like. But yes, that's the whole idea is for us to drop the entire thing at one time. So you can pay whatever it is and listen from start to finish. It's like an hour and how many minutes
It's like an hour and 15 minutes,
of,
I think.
of music. So
Man, and do we
Nice.
have an ETA release time? I know we.
That's
spoke
why
earlier, but-
we're doing this
yeah.
single thing because with the pandemic, it's thrown a wrench in all kinds of things. But
Absolutely.
for us, we registered with the U.S. Copyright Office, I think 4.5 months ago. And then we had a couple snags in the studio that we had to go back and do some things. But if I had to guess, I'd say probably middle of January,
I hope.
depending on the distribution company now. We're going to get it to them.
But
Right.
that's pretty
Yeah, if
soon,
not
so that's
sooner.
a
Yeah.
good. I mean, to be able to get that, I'm
Probably
really
another month.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you ask our friends in our family, it should have been out like a year and a half ago.
at least.
It's been done
Oh.
that long. We've just been doing post-production stuff for the last year and a half.
And being
And
just 2 of you
absolutely.
guys, that's I mean, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Rough, and with somebody going to school, that's kind of time consuming in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well, and just members, how
We
that
did have a
is.
full band at one time.
Yeah.
And the bass player, we got to give him a little bit of kudos. We have a good friend who played bass on the record, and he ended up getting a really good opportunity to go join a different band that was national. And
Nice.
so he went and did that, but he was gracious enough to let us just have the bass tracks because,
Right.
we wrote the songs.
Well,
And,
that's great.
his name is Toby, and he's a great friend of ours.
Toby.
So,
But boy,
yeah.
Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, we're here with Hilltop Burning, talking about their new album that's going to be dropping hopefully sometime in January. If we can kind of get through some of that stuff, make sure to click and subscribe and like and
share.
take selfies, whatever, and
There you
just
go,
tickle
yeah.
the
There you go.
taints, whatever it takes. Get the shares out there.
Not
That's
even.
a good name for a song.
Oh, my
Tickle taint.
goodness.
I've been calling it for years.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. I would never write a song about that, but I digress.
Title-wise, it would give me like,
would.
is his song say tickle taint?
I'm sure
Oh
it
my
would
God,
sell.
I'm so intrigued.
It would
I'm sure
probably
it'll be a
sell.
TikTok
Probably
number
would.
1 seller. And they'll probably have dances that does
Right.
it. And what is she doing? She's doing the tickle taint.
Oh my God.
Right
yeah.
behind Let's Go Brandon, right?
that's right. There you go. At the Applebee's.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
my
gosh. So that's really exciting. That's that you guys got that. So I know right now we're sitting with lyric videos for these songs.
3 of them, yeah.
Are we looking with it being so much of a storytelling that are we looking at a different side of the stories? Like, will some of the videos that's already lyrics, will you guys be shooting videos for those?
Eventually, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Mark and I are one of those artists that, we grew up in an era where music was not only an art form, but when they released it, we got to hold it in our hands.
Yes.
So this new digital era where people don't want a CD or an album is kind of strange for
I
us.
do.
So
I'm just throwing it out there. I want to hold it tangibly in my hand. I want to get it
Right?
signed.
There you go.
Yeah.
And yes.
So we were forced just based on the pandemic and the way that the music industry is right now that we had to do it digitally, and because we are trying to tell a very huge story here, we wanted to do the lyric videos too.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, yes, we've already got, Mark had a really good idea for the first video that we want to do. It's just, we're playing the whole copywriting game and trying to get it out before we
That
do
could be a
that.
pain.
Yeah, it is. And then-
but you guys are doing it. You guys are grinding. You're
You're on
working
the
hard.
grind.
It sounds
Yep.
great. I'm really,
Absolutely.
really excited about
Well, and
it.
then we have to find, the rest of the band.
Yeah.
But having a product and go, look,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
badass.
Well-
This is
All you gotta do is
beautiful.
learn this,
We want
yeah.
somebody that's just as badass and beautiful that's gonna
See,
join us on this.
I like where your head's at.
See, yeah.
Because that's exactly what we've been saying.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Well-
it's gonna be a really easy work because somebody's gonna be like, dude, that's badass.
I wanna be a
could
part of
play
that,
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
We had some
Absolutely.
diversions along the way with, other things, members, like
It happens.
that
It
type of
does.
stuff. But
It does. It does.
It's rough.
So if you're a drummer who can play this
Hey,
stuff,
Right.
there you go, guys.
yeah, if you're a drummer, then you can
Yeah.
play this.
and
Be
you
a
gotta
drummer.
be able to sing too,
There you go.
Singing
Absolutely.
drummers.
Singing drummers, man.
That's,
Yeah, how many of those are
Phil
around, right?
Collins, what are you doing? Right,
Keep
keep busy.
Don Henley, maybe.
Yeah, shooting
Courtney.
old Disney tracks.
It's
Yeah.
almost as hard to find as a keyboard player. Those are like
Yes.
gold,
At least around Indy.
at least
Yeah.
around Indy. Yeah.
Well, drummers around Indy. I mean, it's
Hard to come by.
solid.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Drummers is very hard
Yeah.
to find. At least in
Especially
this
drummers that can play like Neil Peart or Mike Portnoy, which is what we need. Those are even more
Yeah,
rare.
that's- Absolutely. Have you,
Yeah.
well, since it
Well,
worked,
since you brought
since
it up,
since it worked once before, have you tried to,
There you go. You're
Oh,
you're
sorry.
you're messing with her zen, man, her mojo.
have you tried to find other people that were close, like could almost get there, and you're just like,
you mean
No.
talent-wise or geographically located? Were you talking about close?
both, because, I mean, where are you guys going to book the shows to start
Sure.
between you and California?
Right.
It's because it's possible, but.
The easy answer is no.
I'll let him.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we had a very conscious discussion about 2 years ago when we got to the part of the writing process where we had the record done, the songs were done, but we kind of wanted to have, put the band together first so that when we were ready, we could just have a release party and play shows and all that. Well, with the pandemic happening and some creative differences and some other people got alternatives, and people got married and those kind of things. It was just taking so long that, the decision that we made to go ahead and do it that way ended up backfiring a little bit. So now what we're doing is we've kind of matured from that and thought, you know what, let's not make the same mistake twice. Let's get the record out, like you said, Joe. Let people see what it's about. Let's people see what kind of musicians we need.
Right.
Then we can put the name out there, we can put the music out there, and just let it speak for itself and say, okay, if you're interested, obviously we're going to be scouring the internet when the record's out, but
Right.
we didn't want to drag anybody along any longer than what we had already done. So
Well, and I think having that final product and you can go, oh, you want to be part of this. Here's the tracks.
yeah,
Learn the tracks. We're going to have interviews on this day.
Correct.
You come in and we'll see what you got.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know if you can play it or not when you listen to it. I mean,
Yeah,
you really will. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, as being a musician, Joe, you listen
Yeah.
to something, you're like, there's absolutely no way in hell I could touch that. Or you're like, oh
I did
yeah,
that-
if I
did
practice,
that
I think I
vocally
could do
like,
it. Yeah, you're like, oh,
I
good.
don't have enough rubber bands for that. To
Right.
work out. That's
so yeah, the plan is to do kind of like what you said, to have like an audition day or an audition weekend where we rent out a space. We've already had X amount of people contact us.
Nice.
And we give everybody an hour slot. The two of us play live. I'll sing and he'll play guitar, and then we'll have backing tracks for whoever's not in the room or whatever.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
There's what was it? Finger 11. I think they had their hit and they didn't even have a band.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What was
It's
that
not
stupid-
uncommon.
was
It
the-
happens
was
all the time.
Finger 11's
Yes.
big band because once they got a band, they didn't do.
They didn't do anything after
But
that.
And
I have friends where they. Oh my God, they're Wisconsin. Another lost name, I think. They were struggling with people, and they were actually had some of their tracks recorded with some guys from Seven Dust and 3 Days Grace, like major.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Kudos.
very nice.
But when they did their show, we performed with them here in Indy, and it was just two of them, and they had the other tracks like on a tick
Yeah.
track and had it
Well,
play
that's-
out. And
Yeah.
Right.
and that's a rough one, but I was like,
That
that's hard to do live.
I mean, Well, I think with the layer, like, I wouldn't think with you guys, honestly, as much as you guys made everything, that you guys would be so in sync with the material that it would be
Well,
you could do that. I mean,
What do you mean?
What,
You mean just two of
you
us play?
two, and then have
Oh.
the tracks going, just and do
If
a
we had
show.
to,
If you had
yeah.
to, I did not.
Well,
I
it's
wouldn't do
not-
that, but honestly, man, I'll be completely honest with you. I am more about the creative part of it. Would I love to get out and play this material live? Absolutely.
Right.
But if it doesn't happen, it's not going to break my heart because I know that I got a really good musical partner that I met along the way.
Yeah.
And we can do this 15 times before we die. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? I kind of look at it that way. If it doesn't materialize to a live show, it wouldn't break my heart. But
Man,
I would really like to
you
play
guys
this
suck.
stuff
Well,
live.
and-
I would
And-
totally come to a show.
And so to kind of
Absolutely.
geek out on the technology here, just a second, Joe, because I know you're into that stuff. So, yes, we could play it live like Milli Vanilli with backing tracks. That's right, I just went there. I went old
You
school
went
there.
there.
But we don't want to because we've got all the backing tracks. I've got the bass. I've got
Yeah.
everything recorded, the keyboards and all that stuff. But we want to actually have a band and go out and actually play
Yeah.
it and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and do
And
a
it's
live show.
Not look like Milli Vanilli.
Right.
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I say that, but I would prefer if I
Sure.
was in this situation, I
Yeah.
would rather have the full
Yeah.
experience to feel the music, to
And
feel,
we're-
because there's something about having some errors because you can't. Nobody as
We're
good as
still
you can be.
gonna
There's going to
have-
have some errors
yeah.
when you're playing, and there's
Yeah.
something about that tangible sound,
Human
that
element.
human
Right.
element that makes it so much.
I want
better.
people to play their instruments. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just listen to the album and not even worry
Well,
about it.
and you could always tell, like, I mean, I'm sure you guys, when you hear somebody that's used like snap recording or step
Yeah.
recording, it's so precise
Yeah.
and it's perfect.
It's almost
Right.
too
It's
perfect,
too
you know? Yeah.
perfect. And it for musicians, it really, at least most of the musicians I know, very rarely go, man, that's beautiful. And it sounds different. But some people, they might record their tracks that way and lay down triggers and stuff for different, but it's
Well-
still the nature.
Yeah, and we're still gonna have backing tracks when we
Yeah.
play because there's still like
Right.
sound effects and different things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
we play
production.
on. We play over.
Was you behind? I mean, the other group that we were speaking about. I don't know if that's
The name that
Salty.
shall not be spoken.
Okay, there you go. You gave me the answer there.
Gotcha.
Was there a lot of? Was you behind? Because I know they used a lot of built-up sounds. At least it
No.
was sounds like transitioning from songs. If I remember right, it was. But it sounds like.
I just did guitar solos and learned how to play rhythm.
Gotcha.
That was pretty much it
Okay.
for the most part.
Yeah.
This record will
So-
be pretty cool live if we can pull it off. Let me put it that way. That's the other part of it too. You know, we want to get the right players, so that's step one. Well, step one is to get the damn thing released.
Right.
Step two is to get the right
But
players.
you guys could actually, with it, as far as it's that you have, because everything's complete.
Oh, it's
right?
done.
Oh, yeah.
It's
So
polished. It's
you
ready to
could-
go.
You guys could be hitting the scene now.
In the summer,
Instead
if
of
we
not
could get
even
it
worrying-
done. Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, at least in my experience, it sometimes takes a few times on some cats where it's like, man, they're good, and then it's all, we need to,
Well.
but doing a hardcore interview, and having them prepared beforehand makes it
Yeah.
a little bit different. But
Yeah, and we'll spend probably 3/4 of the time jamming with them, and then the rest just interviewing them. You know.
Right.
understand.
But step 3 is Mark and I have talked about this long enough that we kind of know what we want to do live.
Mm-hmm.
And this record is got so many different theatrical types of things in it that we're not going to be able to get away from playing this material live with JFK's voice in the background or some of these other cool things that we have going on. We've got some sound effects that kind of indulge themselves into each song and all these different cool things. So it's going to be a big production if we can pull it off.
Absolutely.
But
I'm excited. I want to. I want to.
It's all about MIDI, Joe. It's all about MIDI.
Yeah.
Love MIDI until it don't work.
Right?
Well, it ain't working.
yeah,
I hit
just
the
go with
button,
it.
There's no noise.
Just count to 4 and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's
then,
funny as shit.
Yeah. We could do it, I guess.
so then ideally, you said mid-January to release.
Probably.
when are you going to start doing interviews? I know you're just like, you know, if you have a drummer, hit us up.
Probably mid-January is when we're
Yeah.
as soon as we drop the album, we're like, hey, who wants to be involved in this
Yeah.
this show, this whole.
We
Gotcha.
focused our
Definitely.
efforts.
I know I'm looking at our time. We're getting a little bit later. What's the other track you guys want to focus on?
Let's do, how much time do we have?
We started about 10 minutes late, right, Wyatt?
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So, which track? Because I know we had Soul.
Well, I would normally tell you to play Soul Shine because
Okay.
it's the first. So the first song that we played was the beginning of the end, and that's
Yep.
the first song on Act 1. Soul Shine is the next song on Act 2, but we released another song from Act 2, which was called One Wish,
Okay.
and that song seems to be everybody's favorite. Let me set it up just a little bit. So 99% of the rest of the record, Mark wrote all the music,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
This is the only song that, you know, he wrote, I think, one part of the arrangement, and I just wrote the rest of the music, but he played it all. So then, you know, it's almost like with this song, we flipped the script a little bit because
Right.
I wrote the music for the most part on this one, and the idea for the lyrics were Mark's.
That's
While the
awesome.
whole rest of the record, all the lyric ideas were kind of mine. So
Right.
it just happens to be about, you know, Mark came to me one day and he goes, man, I got this idea for a song called One Wish. And I said, okay, well, what is it? And he said, well, you know, pretend as if you were given a wish by a genie or whatever, and, you know, you could only have one wish. Well, what would it be? And I said, I don't know, you know, I said something stupid. And Mark said, well, I would wish that nobody ever had to wish anymore because everybody has everything that they need. And I went, oh.
Nice.
Let me write that down. You know, so that's what this song is all about. It was his idea.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into that. And this is a song called "One Wish" by Hilltop Burning.
Right. love it.
Man.
Thank
I
you
do.
very much.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
And watching you guys jam out to it, I love that. That is so awesome and so genuine.
Can
I
you
love
tell how
that.
excited we are to get this out to the world? You know,
And you're always positive. That's the there's always positivity with you guys.
I really, and I know we were kind of talking off air. Something else that I thought about while listening, because we spoke about some of the influence of Van Halen, some of that era, with the way the music is evolving, and a lot of past styles are pulling in, coming in. I as much as some of the music, I'm like, oh god, some of this stuff sucks. There's a lot of really great music that's kind of built up off of old styles.
Sure.
And I almost feel like right now is a perfect time to drop it, because
It is.
that's kind of that style it should be. It's time
It's
for
time and
that
it's
style to
needed.
kind of rotate.
God, I
in.
hope so.
Yes, absolutely.
I really, I mean, because watching styles, watching other artists, like, what was the Led Zeppelin group? It's not Led Zeppelin.
Greta Van Fleet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't sound nothing like.
Sure you don't.
Really?
Yeah, whatever.
You completely marketed that, sounding like. I mean, you can't tell the difference.
Right.
But that sound,
Yes.
I really feel like this is a perfect time for this to drop.
I agree.
In my opinion, I'm just like,
like
the
it.
fat
It's
guy in this
time.
podcast. He tries to be in a band.
Well, I think the other way to say that, man, and I've had this conversation several times, is that nothing against the music or the musicians that are popular today, but I miss when you could really tell when you hear a band or a song that you just knew that whoever was creating that music spent hours and hours and
Absolutely.
hours sitting in their room, like Mark and I used to do, and really just practicing and honing their craft because they had a dream,
Yeah.
one day that they were going to do something like this. So
And we were talking because of such a big. It's a huge story. It's almost like with rock operas. You got. And we said something earlier. Another artist we spoke with on dropping a full album, they're like, the way music's taken in these days, you get these singles drop, and then 10 days,
They
a
want
month
more.
later, so he was
fans are
like,
wanting
why
more.
am I going to drop an album that in a month they're going to be like, what's else? What
Right,
else?
right.
And when you're in it, does any of that come into consideration when going through this? And I know we spoke, but I think more as the fans that will be listening to us that are up and coming musicians, to kind of get that idea of the breakdown that the musicians have on deciding what they're going to put out. So, like,
That's a great question.
when you were thinking about this, do you guys think of that kind of stuff?
As far as the marketing and networking and
yeah.
Sorry, I know there's a question in there somewhere.
The thought process of worrying about, will this piece that you guys worked so hard on and so long for, will it be able, if you guys drop it just at once, will it keep the attention span long enough? Because some artists, that's why they only do singles, because in 10 days, a month, they'll be like, what else is there?
Yes, and I've heard that a while. I mean, a few years ago, I heard that, it's like people don't do albums anymore. They just do singles, and they repeatedly do singles, and maybe an album will
And try
come
to
out.
stay fresh.
Or an EP or something
relevant,
like that. Here's
yeah.
my new 3 songs or whatever. But he and I are somewhat going to address this with every song is going to be released as a lyric video. In addition to the album dropping, so if you want to buy the album, bam, there it is, listen to start to finish. But we're also going to continually market every song in the album,
Okay.
So we're going to do both.
Yeah,
Right, that's
so we're gonna do both, really. I mean, so there's 14 songs, so we're gonna have 12 lyric videos or maybe even 14, because 2 of the songs are more of like intros and different things like that to the next song, just
I gotcha.
instrumental stuff or whatever.
Transition kind of-
Yeah, so those may not be made into lyric videos, but the rest of them are. So that way, if you want, you can listen to all the lyric videos for all the entire album if you want.
Right
Gotcha.
on.
So
Well,
Gotcha.
we are starting to get our cue that
Yes.
our time is rolling. Guys,
Yep.
thank
Wyatt
you
said, "Hey."
so much for
Thank you,
coming
guys.
out
Thank you.
tonight.
thanks for
With
having
Eric.
us. Thank
Very
you.
excited to meet you guys and to see what's coming.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what,
Was
make you a
there-
deal when the record goes live and because some time goes by, if you want, we'll come back and we'll talk more about it, man.
We may even bring
Yeah.
other people with us.
And we
Oh,
might
hey,
have
there
a
you
full
go.
band.
Right?
We might have to get the outside space.
Yeah.
Wyatt,
Yeah, Wyatt.
we'll be listening to
Moonshots.
the email. We'll be watching.
Was there anything that we did not cover that you would like to cover?
No, I think that's
No.
pretty much about it.
Yeah,
Just
thank you
kinda-
very much. It's
yeah,
a great
Thank you
opportunity
guys
to
for
come and
spending
talk.
an hour with
It
us.
was a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Very excited to see. I want to hear the rest of this album, so I'm definitely excited. Make sure
Yeah.
when this drops, I keep pulling away. I'm not used to doing it.
Yeah.
Make sure when that drops, send us
Tag
the links.
us.
Sure.
And
Send it to
because
us.
we send it out
Yeah.
to so many people, and
Sure,
we love to share
absolutely.
that and be
Thank
a part
you.
of that process.
Yeah, we
So
will.
definitely when that
Absolutely.
drops, and if it's just Spotify links or whatever the case may be, or actual albums, we do giveaways on the shows.
Yeah,
we've had
there are
several of
giveaways
those
from
through the
time to
years.
time. Yeah. Be
But
sure that you go
definitely-
over, like, share, follow, subscribe on Hilltop Burning while you're
Get
there.
on there now.
Wow.
Put down the bag of chips. Stop yelling
Go
at
there
your
now.
children.
Right now.
Click the like and subscribe.
Subscribe. While you're over there, check out Monday Love Podcast. Hit
So-
that.
So guys, I got to do this rundown real quick. Guys, again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, for all your podcast needs, make sure you get a hold of Wyatt here at Wave One Media. He has got so many different things to offer, several different spots for your podcast needs. And he shoots commercials. He does all kind of other stuff. And even has a bank vault where you can look like gangsters and sit around a
Absolutely.
table.
It's a
and
great studio
have
environment,
little
too.
midgets doing like
Whatever you
twerking or
want.
something. I don't know. Whatever you guys want, make sure to get a hold of Wyatt here at Wave One Media. Hey, all the graphics, the logos, the designs, the websites, photography. If you're a band, you need photography. If you're a corporate event, need any of that in between. What?
Joe does it.
I do it.
Joe does
My team does it at JK Multimedia Productions. Make sure to hit me up. We will make sure to be able to figure out however we need to do to get your story told.
There you go.
And then Miranda Monday. Well, if you have a trap raccoon, she will come in and
I got you.
she will
Got
take
you
care of the
covered.
raccoon. That
Yep.
poor thing. No, seriously, get a hold of Miranda. She is working with so many managers and networked all across
Yep.
bands all across the country. Make sure to get a
Also,
hold of
if you
Miranda
want to
Monday.
see somebody, I have specifically not booked anybody for
So
this
swipe
next year
left on
coming
Tinder is
up.
what she said. Oh no, not what you're saying. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I'll shut up.
I'm gonna hurt you. I know where you live. Yes, if you want to see an artist or a band or a group,
Yeah,
make sure
make
you
sure to
hit
hit
me
us
up.
up.
I've purposely not booked anybody. We're taking next week off,
And then our season finale, guys,
absolutely
with Haystack. What?
So make sure you check us out. All the podcast platforms, YouTube, here live Monday nights, except for next week.
Ow! Damn, that actually
do
hurt.
remember all of
That
you
was
guys,
fat, woman.
all of you guys have hated a Monday once or twice in your life.
So let Monday love you. See you guys.